Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are excited. In the last episode from Salvage Nation, we took delivery of a 2013 Audi A3 Sport, and that was a budget build, and that's the start of the budget build. And in this episode, we're going to be tearing down all of this damaged section. I want to see exactly what's hiding beneath all of the damaged parts and etc, etc. And we're going to be going down making a parts list. You know how it goes. So if you want to see that, stay to the end. We're getting straight into it. Let's go. Now, if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen the last episode, this is only episode 2. So in the first episode, I took you to the auctions with me, to the online auctions. We bidded for this car, I won it, I showed you the price breakdown, and I got delivery of the car. But now we're just gonna get started with tearing down everything. I need to get some tools together, and hopefully if I can get a parts list, I wanna try to get the car driving back on all fours in this episode. So I might have to run out, get some parts. I don't know where it's gonna take me, but this episode is gonna be jam-packed with action, and I hope that you like it.
Right, so to get started, I thought I'll tackle this wing, and trust me, because everything is so mangled, everything was just extra tight, extra jammed up, and it was a bit of a task accessing all of the star screws and all the nuts and bolts because of the damage that the car had incurred. Either way, this is Salvage Nation, and I just continued and got stuck in to all of the damage. Now, everything was going fine. We managed to get that wing off, and then I thought I'd remove the broken splash guards as well. These are just a couple of screws, and that was off, no issue. But once again, have a look at the chassis leg. There's no damage on that top leg. However, look down below, and you'll see the damage down there, and we'll get back to that in a second. I took the time to kind of straighten the bonnet a little bit before moving on to removing the wiper blades to gain further access to that shock tower. Now, with the wiper blades removed, I made sure I stored them in a safe place. It was time to just lift up the scuttle panel. This is the plastic piece that sits right at the base of the windscreen. With that off, it was time to reset the bonnet lifters on either side. There's a tiny little clip that you have to adjust before clicking it back into place, and check it out. The bonnet was able to be closed, and those lines are looking amazing, further confirming that there's no chassis damage to the front of the car. That is another plus for this little budget build. Now, with all of that done, it's time to move on to the mechanics of the car, and I wanted to remove this busted wishbone as well as some of the other broken suspension components that were hiding beneath the car. Now, because these nuts are torqued down, my gun was having some trouble with that, so there was nothing like some good old brute force of the arms to get the job done. Now have a look at that. With all of that loosened, it was just a matter of shimmying that broken part out of there, and have a look. Next up, it's time for the drive shaft, which is screwed onto the gearbox with a special star screw, and we had to use an extension on top of the gun to reach all the way into there and unscrew that broken drive shaft from the gearbox. With all of those loosened, it was just a matter of pulling it out, and there you have it.
Alright, you guys, I thought it was a good time to take a little break. Oh, look at me, I'm a mess. But we managed to get a lot done, and I'm gonna show you exactly what I found, what I think is positive, what I think is negative. And also, I made a phone call to my guys down at VAG Planet. They're breakers down in Tottenham, and they have told me they've just got in stock a break-in Audi A3 8V facelift. So I'm gonna take a trip down there now, and we're gonna see what we've got. If we can get all the bits that I need, happy days. If not, I know for a fact that he's got the suspension that I need, so we're gonna grab that, come back, get the car driving. Like I said, the objective of this episode is to get this car driving because it's taking up space in the garage and it needs to get out. So let me show you what I found, and then we'll head off down to the breakers. So once again, another positive is, like I said at the beginning, and I said it in the first episode as well, this top chassis arm, it doesn't seem to be damaged. It hasn't sustained any sort of damage at all, other than right at the tip, and that is so minor. It's just this bit here is slightly bent upwards like that, and we can straighten that out, no problem. This headlight bracket, I'm thinking to get a new one. It's got some slight damage to it, but I'm still probably gonna get a new one. Coming around to the front end, as I showed you before, it's just got some broken plastics, but I had a little peek. This headlight seems to be fine. Now, like I told you just now, the guys down at VAG Planet are breaking a facelift. He told me that the wings, the bonnets are all the same, it's just the bumper and the headlights. And if he can give me a good price on the headlights, I don't know, we might end up doing a facelift on this car, but I'm not sure. I need it to make sense and it needs to be on the budget. Coming back to this side, we removed that wing. I'm a bit worried about this still. The sill at the bottom here has got some extensive kind of damage. We're gonna have to reconstruct that. We're gonna have to cut that, weld that, pull it back in place, make it nice and neat again, and weld it all back up. This is meant to be the area where the bottom of the wing seats, and it's meant to be like this, and it's all mangled down like that. So that's the only issue here that I'm seeing that I'm really concerned about. But all of this bit, we can straighten all of this up. These are all the shards of the broken wing that I need to remove. But once again, have a look underneath here. There's no damage. Chassis leg is fine. There's no damage to the chassis leg. There's no damage to the engine underneath there. And if you look in there, as you've seen, that's the gearbox, and I had to remove these screws from the drive shaft just to loosen it off. But take a look at this drive shaft. It's completely bent, completely mangled. And yeah, that sustained the brunt of it. But I'm not seeing anything that's too badly damaged, nothing that I'm really scared or worried about. But take a look at that wishbone. Like I said, the wishbone, this kind of outer control arm, this is the inner control arm for the track rod end, that is taking the brunt. This stabilizer linkage here, like all of these bits, it will cost a little bit, but I'm happy we can replace them, no problem. Other than that, all around the car, everything seems to be looking good. Everything, like I said, I am happy. If you've seen anything that I've missed, let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about the build so far. But for now, let's get down to VAG Planet and try to get some bits. See you.
So now that I was armed with my parts list, it was a matter of loading up the old parts to use as a reference and made my way down to VAG Planet down in North London. After a quick 30-minute drive from my garage, I arrived at VAG Planet, and I was just so happy with the array of parts that these guys have got. The main man down there always looks after me on my builds when it comes to Audi and VW, and if you need anything, go check them out. It just so happened that they were breaking the same car that I was rebuilding, and I got a ton of parts.
All right, you guys, so we're just about to pull up back at the garage, and I've just spent 450 quid with my guys down at VAG Planet. Let's offload all the bits and I'll show you. Like 450 is a lot of money, but I'm still smiling because trust me, I got a lot of stuff for 450 quid. So let's go check it out. All right, you guys, so we're back at base. Like I said, I want to get this car driving and have a look at this. We went ahead and we got the complete suspension corner. So here's the strut, here's the hub, and it's got the brake disc, everything. And the way he took it off for me, all I need to do is screw this in. He didn't cut anything. These are the plugs for the ABS sensor, and that just plugs in down at the bottom. Happy about that. I've got a replacement drive shaft, replacement wishbone. This is that little panel right there. Replacement one of those. Got the track rod, inner and outer. I've got the stabilizer linkage, and he had a stock of the water rads, so I got a water rad there, brand new. That's gonna replace this one right here. And for all of those bits, I only paid 450 quid. Trust me, the way he done it for me was 300 quid for the complete suspension corner with everything, including the drive shaft, which I couldn't find any better prices than that. I saw one of them online without the drive shaft for 2 and a bit, 240 I believe, but 300 quid collected, can't go wrong. And then the water rad, I got some little plastics. I got the wheel arch liner as well. I got quite a lot for 450 quid. I got the boot pack, so I'm very happy with that. But guys, enough talking, I am happy. 450 spent today on top of what I spent for the car. We're still getting well in terms of the budget. I'm gonna put it on the time lapse to get all of these new bits onto the car, and hopefully we can drive the car out and park it outside.
Now at this point, everything seems to be going great. I'm happy. Everything is coming together. It was was time to just fit that replacement drive shaft, go through all the steps that I did to remove it, just in reverse, and everything was on. Now, when you've got broken parts on the car, sometimes it's easier to just cut it off, and this is the case for the stabilizer linkage because the nuts and the bolts were just rounded from a previous owner, I don't know, but with that off, it was just a simple task of fitting in the new suspension corner, tightening up everything, plugging in all of the sensors and the wires, and making sure that everything was nice and secure. Next up is the inner track rod arm that was snapped clean off, so it was out with the old, in with the new. I also got this from down at VAG Planet, no problem, and that went on without a hitch. With all of that done, it was time for the wishbone, fasten everything down, and voila. Just a little test, I stuck it in gear and I was able to get my steering back, and at this stage everything was looking very, very promising. That was of course until I clocked that I had no brakes. So boom, went next door, I called my guy Zaf. He's got a flaring tool, and what we realized was that it had a broken line, so this is the repair for that broken line. So to repair this broken line, we had to just cut off just a tiny little smidge from the top of the hose to make it nice and straight before loading it up into the flaring tool, which is going to make a nice flare so it can be seated into the replacement brake line. With the new end of the line flared, it was time to put the cap in and screw it down into the brake line, and let's see what happens. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
5 hours later.
So guys, there you have it. With a little bit of running around and a lot of hard work, hard graft, we've turned this car from an absolute wrecked, salvage, non-runner with potential into something that seems to be working, seems to be running. The suspension is back, the brakes are potentially back, the steering is back, and have a look. We've removed all the broken bits that we can see from the suspension side of things, and now we've managed to replace all of those. There's still a ton of work to do, but you can see how things are coming together in such a short period of time. Now, saying that, it's not all rosy, and we ran into a few problems. Allow me to explain.
Alright you guys, so if you look behind me, we managed to do quite a lot of work in this episode so far. However, this budget build is starting to annoy me. We've got some good news and we've got some not so good news, so let's go check it out. So the good news, let's start with the good news. We've managed to replace our complete suspension. The strut is all good, the hub, new hub, everything's all good. All those sensors are all plugged in. However, have a look at this. This is a replacement drive shaft that we got from the breakers, and I went ahead, put it in, tightened it all up. And then as soon as we started the car, you saw it, it was spinning, and then I started to hear like a crunching noise, and then have a look right there. So I'm turning this is the outer joint, and at this point, everything is meant to be spinning, but as you can see, something inside the actual joint is broken. So I've already called the guys down at VAG Planet, and they told me to just bring it back and they'll give me a replacement. And another thing is the water rad. So this is my water rad, and like I showed you, it's just got a little crack right here. I've tested it, I filled it up with water right there, and all that water came out. Just to make sure, you can see the crack right there. But the water rad that I got is actually incorrect. This is a 1.4. I'm not sure what one he's giving me, but it's not lining up. The connections are not the same. So once again, he told me to bring that one back and he will fit a new one for me. And then the final negative is, as you've seen, I called in the help from Zaf over at Multi-Car Repairs. He's got this little contraption. This is a flaring machine, flaring tool. This is what you can use to replace or flare these metal brake lines. We went ahead and we flared my one here, and however, it's still leaking right there. So I don't want to keep trying to flare it if it's still leaking and all of that. So I'm gonna have to replace that entire hose, that brake line. Because it's brakes, it's very important. I'm gonna be actually taking that off in the next episode, getting it all in, ordering a new one and replacing that brake hose. I just want to make sure that it's all good and in working order. When I go back to VAG Planet, they should have removed that dashboard for me. So I'm gonna collect that dashboard as well. But other than that, I've even just checked the car, the AC is still working, so there's a lot of AC gas in the car as well, so I'm gonna be recycling that gas next door, replace those rads, and then I'll get that same gas that I recycled and refill the tanks. So guys, will it come together? Will everything work out? Who knows? What I do know is if you want to find out, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure your bells are on, and stay tuned for the next episode where we're going to be continuing exactly where we left off, and hopefully it comes together, hopefully it stays on the budget, hopefully this is a nice flip for the channel because a lot is banking on it. It's builds like these that I use to keep the channel running, and yeah, if you want to see that, like I said, subscribe to the channel, make sure your bells are on. So guys, even though I didn't get to drive the car like I set out at the beginning, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm trying to show you as much as behind the scenes, full transparency on the cost and everything. I spent 450 quid today, and we managed to get a lot of stuff, and I've got a good relationship with the guys down at VAG Planet, so hopefully in the next episode I'm gonna head back down there, get the correct parts, get that dashboard. There's still a ton of work that we need to do. The budget build is going good. I know we've had some setbacks today, but we're gonna keep it moving and keeping it moving straight into the next episode. So, from all of us here at Salvage Nation, keep it moving, and I'll see you in the next one.
Guys, thank you for watching. Click here to see what YouTube thinks you should watch. Click here to watch one of my previous episodes, and like it said there, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. We out.